This is what the little voice inside a narcissist's head. Welcome, beautiful people, to another captivating episode of The Narcissist Code. Today, we are diving deep into the intriguing topic of the internal monologue within a narcissist's mind. Brace yourselves for an exploration that will take us beyond the breaking point, my friends. Now let's talk about that voice residing in the narcissist's head. It's a journey into the realm of inner child work and the 6 years of therapy that have shaped my personal growth. This voice, dear friends, can vary in intensity, from a subtle murmur to an ear-shattering roar, echoing through the depths of their consciousness. In discussing this with my therapist, she inquired about the number of voices I hear, to which I confidently responded, just one, my voice, my very own. It's the singular force guiding me forward. Multiple voices would imply conflicting perspectives, and we wouldn't want that when it comes to unraveling the intricacies of narcissistic personality disorder, right? So, yes, just one voice. Curiosity sparked. She delved deeper and asked, "What does this voice say?" I contemplated before replying, "It's complex, you know. Sometimes it empowers me, urging me to push boundaries, while other times it indulges in self-destructive tendencies. My inner child, as my therapist refers to it, has a nuanced duality. A blend of empowerment and self-sabotage has driven me on my journey, enabling me to build my platform. However, as of late, the self-destructive tendencies have heightened, stealthily whispering doubts, inhibiting my progress. Fear grips me, hindering the next steps I should take. As I strive to take the next step in my personal journey, the self-sabotaging voice within me wreaks havoc. Doubt creeps in, questioning my abilities and fueling extreme procrastination. I hyperfixate on others, becoming consumed by unwarranted paranoia. Presently, I fear that lurking eyes are observing my every move, ready to seize my platform or undermine my progress. It's a perplexing experience, indeed. "Why not share with me?" my therapist inquired, igniting a spark within me. She saw the flicker of excitement on my face, but I digress. The voice inside my head, my constant companion, inundates me with a barrage of thoughts. At this moment, it leans towards self-destruction, compelling me to find solace through meditation and self-talk. Sometimes, I even verbalize these discussions when alone in my office. However, amidst others, the conversation transpires internally, a dialogue pushing me towards the next level. I address my inner child, acknowledging the fear while assuring them that this is our destined path. Yes, sometimes I say we, and my therapist mistakenly considered it dissociative identity disorder or multiple personalities. I quickly clarified that it's merely a method of conversing with myself, finding it peculiar to say, "I'm talking to myself." Understandable, right? My inner child, coupled with the fearful adult version of me, bears the scars of neglect and the harsh realities of the digital world. This amalgamation hesitates to progress, afraid to take those crucial steps forward. Unfortunately, this pattern is not exclusive to me. Many narcissistic individuals embark on extraordinary ventures only to stumble and engage in self-destructive behaviors, derailing their own paths. In my case, I've stayed on course for an extended period, albeit with occasional self-imposed setbacks. However, I motivate myself by contemplating the moon, envisioning a rocket hurtling towards it. I've heard that the rocket veers off course over 90% of the time, yet it remains steadfast in its destination. It adjusts, fires thrusters, and redirects its focus until it reaches its intended target. That's precisely what I endeavor to do now: correct my course, hone my focus, and propel myself towards my goals. The voice within the minds of narcissistic individuals can evoke a sense of paranoia, instilling fear of losing what we hold dear to our hearts. Currently, that voice whispers fear and shame, casting doubt upon our worthiness. We understand deep down that this is undeserved. The voice in my head repeatedly asserts that I'm unworthy, that I have not earned my place, that I'm simply not good enough. These thoughts relentlessly beat me down, fostering moments of profound self-doubt and a soul-wrenching sense of shame. It feels as if I'm shackled to these feelings, yearning to break free. The only way I've managed to progress is by confronting it head-on, addressing it without hesitation. Engaging in self-talk has become a coping mechanism, a means to reassure myself, particularly my inner child. I must remind us both that we will persevere, that everything will be all right. It may sound peculiar to some, but this is the inner workings of my mind, where internal conversations are a necessity. This practice has been ingrained within me for a significant period, even extending back to my middle school years. Although back then, I was oblivious to the purpose behind my self-dialogues. I recall the teachers, Miss Apple or Miss Whitney, at Reedsville Middle School in North Carolina, commenting on my habit of talking to myself. They viewed it as mere amusement rather than comprehending my genuine attempts to course correct, motivate myself for tests, and provide self-encouragement. I may not have been aware of occasionally vocalizing these conversations aloud, nor the reasons behind my actions at the time. However, looking back, I realize I engaged in this practice regularly. As a narcissistic individual, I cannot speak for all narcissists, but connecting with myself in this manner has become integral to course-correcting my thoughts and actions. The voice within our heads incessantly tells us we are inadequate, representing the wounded and neglected inner child teetering on the edge of oblivion. We all carry experiences where aspects of our inner child have suffered neglect, grasping onto existence by a slender thread. Its cries yearn to be heard, to have a voice of its own. As mentioned earlier, the inner child's voice fluctuates, ranging from deafening volume to barely audible whispers. It traverses between heights and depths within this internal realm. At present, mine resonates loudly, incessantly reinforcing feelings of inadequacy, convincing me that I'm unwanted and nobody will have faith in me. That's why I'm so thankful understands this mindset. At times, both my fellow narcissists and I find ourselves plagued with self-doubt, our minds steering us away from our goals. We share similar dynamics, navigating the voice within that whispers relentless messages of inadequacy and the presence of haters. To combat these internal battles, we engage in self-reflection, discourse with ourselves, and commit to personal development. Life's challenges become our workshops, where we diligently hammer away, dismantling the barriers that obstruct our progress. This struggle is not unique to myself, but is experienced by many individuals with narcissistic tendencies. Talking to ourselves becomes a vital tool, as our inner child reveals underlying needs or expresses fear of change. Deep down, we may grapple with feelings of unworthiness, casting doubt on our capacity for success. The fear of shame looms as we worry about potential embarrassment that may accompany our achievements. The more eyes upon us, the greater the risk of shame, as my therapist eloquently pointed out. Years before establishing my platform, I sought guidance from my therapist. She cautioned me about the potential for encountering significant levels of shame and questioned my readiness to confront it. At the time, I believed I was prepared, and over the years, I have indeed become more adept at handling this challenge. This mindfulness extends to how I present myself and interact with others, both in person and online. Awareness that people are observing me is ever present, and while I may not be a public figure, numerous individuals are aware of my existence. Much like the empowering nature of the voice inside my head when it requires attention, it can also become overwhelmingly self-destructive, particularly when it senses neglect or the disregard of matters of importance. For narcissistic individuals, when their inner child feels neglected, the ensuing emotional outbursts can be expected. Without course correction or addressing these underlying issues, they may remain unaware of the root cause triggering their anger. This outpouring of emotions may manifest towards those in their immediate proximity. It almost seems inevitable, akin to Thanos proclaiming, "I'm inevitable," and snapping his fingers, signifying the undeniable impact of the inner child's voice. In fact, that's the complicated situation that many people with narcissism have to deal with. This way of thinking can be hard to deal with, but it's a fact that we have to face. It's not easy to describe how wild the inner child is, because the voice of the inner child can be manipulative and alluring. My therapist says that the inner child just wants to be heard and to be acknowledged. I sometimes see the way my inner child acts as rebellious, like a bad kid. Still, it's important to know that this kind of behavior often comes from being ignored or having bad things happen to them. Children who aren't cared for are often impulsive and hard to handle. So, if you haven't taken care of your inner child, you should think about what you may be missing in your life right now. What part of yourself are you accidentally ignoring while you're on social media? Your inner child is screaming for you to pay attention to its needs. If you ignore its pleas, you might give up your own success. It's a scary thing to realize because ignoring the inner child has consequences that show up in different ways. Many people with narcissism struggle with this, always trying to figure out what their true needs are. Because of this, we see many examples of narcissists changing their goals, jobs, careers, and other things often. The inner child never stops wanting to play. Even though the adult part of us sometimes feels satisfied, the inner child is always wanting more. It's like a child who wants 2 cookies even though they were only given 1. The child isn't happy with just 1 cookie, and if they don't get a second one, they might smash the first one out of anger. I just saw this happen with my own daughter, and it made a big impression on how my mind works. Because she couldn't have a second cookie, she smashed the first one with her hand. My daughter is only 2 years old, but she has already taught me a lot about my own inner child. It's amazing how these lessons come to me. To avoid missing my video, I'd like to ask you to like and subscribe to the channel. We really appreciate you tuning in and staying until the end. We really appreciate each and every one of you. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel so that we can reach more people and help more people. Your being here is very important. Until next time.